People of Reddit, those of you who aren't depressed and don't have anxiety, what the fuck is that like? Can't find a parking spot. Hail Mary, full of grace, help me find a parking space, has a 100% success rate for me. I now bequeath it to you. Use this power wisely. Another good fallback prayer is, Mother Cabrini, help find a spot for my machine. Pretty chill. Fucking love this answer. Just take me through your day. You don't wake up full of dread. You go places without feeling completely drained after, or like every single person is staring at you. You have coffee without feeling like you might explode from your heart palpitations. You're not randomly bursting into tears while making dinner. You don't lay in bed convinced that you might die in your sleep while also quietly hoping for that. Damn. Edit. Yes, I see professionals. Yes, I know what I'm diagnosed with. Yes, I'm medicated. No, I don't drink caffeine almost ever. Here's what it's like. Because I'm not depressed or burdened with anxiety, I have more energy to help my friends, whenever they ask, who do suffer with either or both conditions. A therapist friend says it's important to nurture a sense of humor. He has a sign hanging over his desk that shows a beaver, and the caption reads, "It's one decameter thing after another." Haha, that's awesome. I always stick to the motto that laughter is the best medicine. Because it is. No matter what emotion or fucked up situation I'm going through, laughter has always been the perfect antidote for it all. Every day is like the sun just said, "My guy, you're amazing." Like the sun is actually talking, or? I think you might be even more broken than the rest of us. I am not depressed nor do I have anxiety, but life is still a struggle. Relationships are still complicated. Money is elusive. Work is soul-crushing. I curl up with my dog and cry a few times a year. Love and respect to any and everyone, but this shit's not easy for most of us. Agree with this right here. I've never had to deal with depression or anxiety issues, and my life is pretty good and pretty easy for the most part, but there are still people I don't want to deal with, tough situations I dread facing, and days when I'd just rather stay in bed. Being mentally healthy just means I have the ability to get out of that bed when other people might not. But that's not every day, or even most days. Most days are at the very least mildly pleasant and occasionally awesome, or least with bits of awesome in them. Exactly. Life is hard enough without depression, anxiety, but at least our brains work with us rather than against us most of the time. It's pretty meh. You don't really think about much. The truth of the matter is, just because you don't have depression doesn't mean you're happy, and just because you don't suffer from anxiety doesn't mean you have no concerns weighing on your mind. Life has its ups and downs, and sometimes the downs outnumber the ups. We can celebrate the good times and lament the bad times, but mostly we're just trying to get through life like everyone else. And GT, you don't really think about much. This is it. It's like wearing noise-canceling headphones somewhere loud. You still know it's loud, but you're able to ignore it to a great degree. You know there are shitty things in your life. You know there are worrisome things in your life. But none of them get an opportunity to occupy enough real estate to become noticeable. When you suffer from anxiety, some of those issues just buy a big fucking lot worth of real estate in your head, and even if they're only building a shack in it, to you it feels huge. And scary, and complicated, and uncertain. My wife compares me, my feelings, to a saucer, and she's like a deep bowl. I don't care about much and don't let things bring me down. It's nice to not overthink things. The smell of burnt almonds. Cyanide then. Oddly specific, but okay. Honestly, I realized that most of my depression and anxiety were rooted in three things. Negative self-talk. Self-talk is so important, y'all. Put some energy into how you talk to yourself. It honestly changed my life. This requires your attention every single day. Not getting shit done and not having a plan to get that shit done. Plan ahead and work hard. Every day is a constant struggle between the version of me who wants to drink and play video games all day, and the me who wants to be successful. Every day, you have to make the choice to get your stuff done. Some days, it's okay to lay on the couch all day and play video games, but I limit that to 1 day a week. Usually Sundays. Substance abuse. I have an extremely addictive personality. While I wouldn't say I was heavily addicted to alcohol, I certainly needed to dry out. Now, I only drink on weekends if at all, and only get drunk a few days a year for special occasions. It's great and my mental health has skyrocketed. This is just what has helped me. I'm sure other people have found things that help them. Don't be afraid to seek help from family, friends, SOs, and licensed therapists. This is probably your one chance at life. You deserve to be happy. Obligatory thanks for the gold. The negative self-talk is huge. Had an epiphany that's the bulk of my problem, so working on it now. Once it gets in your head, I have anxiety and depression, it's almost like it snowballs and just becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. So how do you deal with the self-talk? Talking positively? Encouraging yourself and stuff like that? I get shit done. I don't waste time being indecisive over which is the best choice to make. I find I have the energy to go to the gym on a near daily basis, and still play video games or get some housework done. My life isn't sunshine and bunnies all day every day, but when the bad shit comes, I can push past it and not let it impact the rest of my day. I'm upset over something, I don't rant and rave, and I don't mull over it all day. I acknowledge it, accept it, and set those feelings aside to crush them at the gym like the insignificant specks they are. Just doing the hard work right away instead of trying to think your way out of it somehow is something I learned that immediately fixed dozens of problems that triggered depression and anxiety. It is ridiculously easier to do it this way too. My parents' biggest failure in raising me was not teaching me this. Wake up to the first alarm. No snooze button. Stretch out. Coffee, black. Another. Protein for breakfast. Hit the ground running. Go out and get it. No one's gonna give it, gotta go take it. Harder than you think, it's a beautiful thing. Chuck D, Public Enemy. It's really great. I wouldn't say my depression and anxiety are totally gone, but I'm miles better than I was just a few years ago. I had a pretty rough childhood and had to do a lot of self-reflection to realize where my trauma was coming from. The real turnaround came when I decided to go back to school for game design. I had started going to therapy and soon after that realized I needed to truly chase what I was passionate about, even if I really had no foundation for it. Now that I feel like I have a goal and a purpose in life, things are so much brighter. A professor once told me that only 20% of people are wired to be happy, the rest of us are all walking around dealing with something, and this is why there should not be a mental health stigma. The whole class kind of went, huh, and it's always stuck with me. For what it's worth, smiley face. So basically happy people are abnormal. You still get depressed or anxious, but it goes away after a bit and is much more infrequent. Shitty because instead of being anxious, I do stupid shit instead because there's very little or nothing holding me back. Edit. Rereading this I realized that I may have implied that anxiety and fears is a good thing, especially on the holding you back part. They aren't. If you have either or both, please seek help. First step is knowing it's stupid shit. Now quell that. It feels like I can make the most of every day I live. Every day is just another day of finding satisfaction. Not every day is satisfying or easy, but overall life is enjoyable. That sounds amazing. I can do something super embarrassing in front of hundreds of people without being embarrassed at all. Same, I have zero shame. I get a good night's sleep, I hang out with my wife, I play with my dogs, I spend very little time online, I socialize with my friends, and life is sweet. I used to have those. And then I got on medication and into therapy. I realize with the healthcare system being what it is, and perhaps also being young, and some stigma, it may be hard to access those things. But mental health professionals aren't in it for the money. Sometimes they see people for free or very little out-of-pocket cost. And schools and universities should offer mental health support as well for free. I've had 2 courses of therapy and they were both free from my uni. Anyone in need who is studying could check that out. I am glad to hear that the medication worked for you. I just hope your dog gets over her poop rolling addiction. It's weird, right? Like they'll never know what it's not like and we forget what it is like. I had a good stretch of no anxiety a couple of years ago. I swear it felt like there was a bounce in my step and the whole world was smiling. I'd wake up dancing with a fresh day ahead. Slowly working my way back there. It's nice. No, it's incredible. It's fantastic. But it wasn't always like this. I worked for it. And god damn is it worth it. I'm basically on cruise control now in terms of being chill. Every now and then I have to do a little tuning and tightening, but that's just part of being human. If there's anything you can do, even just baby steps if you can't afford therapy, which wasn't part of my process, but I absolutely recommend it if it's an option, fucking do it. Depression and anxiety fucking suck, but they aren't, and don't have to be, a permanent state of being. Everybody has moments where they are sad and moments of anxiety that is normal. Having anxiety and depression as a disorder, however, means that those feelings are pervasive the majority of the time in your life. As a person who has never been highly anxious or been what I would call clinically depressed, this is how it feels. When something bad happens that makes me sad, I allow myself some time to be sad about it, and that time depends on how serious it is. When my mom died, for example, I gave myself a week to just do nothing and cry and seriously grieve. Then I went back to work and I had moments of being tearful, but I relied on friends and family and yes, often coworkers to talk and hug, etc. By the end of 6 months, although I still had moments where I would think about my mother, and still do occasionally, I was not constantly feeling triggered by every memory of her or everything I saw that reminded me of her anymore, and I realized I just had more of a sense of her as a person and was appreciative for the time she was here. Now if it's something small like I didn't get a promotion or I failed an exam, I allow myself a much shorter time. I will allow myself to be angry, upset or pissed off about it for probably 10 minutes and then just start writing down solutions and get working on how to overcome that obstacle. The process of this is very empowering and pretty much recovers you quickly from those type of experiences. As far as anxiety or moments of low self-esteem are concerned, I still feel them. There are times where I look at my life or look in the mirror and I'm not happy because I feel like I could be in better shape, be more successful, or I'm getting a new wrinkle, etc. etc. But things like that do not put me in a tailspin of self-loathing, or make me want to slit my wrists or lay in bed for a week. I feel them. I sigh, I think of things I could do in that moment to change that habit or problem, maybe I'll write them down, and sometimes those plans to get abandoned, and sometimes they don't. For example, after my last child was born, I didn't lose the baby weight very quickly and I found myself 50 pounds overweight when he was 1.5 years old. I was looking in the mirror every day and unhappy, and since it was becoming kind of a daily thought, it was time to do something, so I started eating better and exercising and lost the weight. As far as responding to criticism from others or people who treat me poorly, overall I am a law-abiding kind person. If someone is abrupt or mean to me, like a clerk in a store or something like that, I may have a thought of, wow, they must be having a bad day, but I don't take it personal at all and forget about it immediately. It certainly doesn't send me into a tailspin. If the person treating me poorly is someone important in my life, like a boss or a family member, then obviously I have to address it. What I found works almost every time. It's just earnestly approaching that person with a calm demeanor and asking them the context or intent of their comment. Most of the time I took it as an insult because I was feeling down that day, or I was tired or hungry, and it was never intended that way, and if I didn't clarify it, it would end up being a huge misunderstanding. I don't let things like that stew for long because that's unhealthy. Again, I don't assume that I am at fault for being treated poorly, and I certainly don't act like a victim if I am. In cases where I am being treated poorly by somebody who is important to me and they truly are being malicious in intent, again I will approach them in earnest and then set boundaries for the relationship. If those boundaries are crossed again, then obviously they do not care about me and I don't need them in my life. That doesn't mean I no longer care about them, it just means that I'm not going to allow them in a position in my life where they can mess with me. I guess overall, despite my faults and my moments of insecurity and anxiety, I have a deep-seated feeling that I have a right to be here on this earth and that my life is precious, as is everyone else's. There are times where I can be mean, but most of the time it's coming from a place of insecurity, and I am quick to apologize and be sure to not do that again. I accept that I'm human. I accept that others are too, and I believe that it is lack of communication and fear that prevent us from truly connecting with other people. I feel bad for depressed people, although I don't claim to understand how they can walk around in that fog 100% of the time and not actively seek out coping skills and solutions. It doesn't matter, I don't need to understand them to feel bad for them. They are human like me and have a place just as important as mine. I wish they could see that. Feels like Saturday. It's wonderful. I used to be happy and no anxiety. Until I was about 20. Some incidents triggered some PTSD that ended up in turning into years, the rest of my life, of anxiety, depression. Pretty well managed with SSRIs. What was it like? A lot of hope and daydreaming. Lots of dreams of the future, my future career, future family, future goals in the sport I play. A deep-seated feeling of comfort in my friends and family. Bad days came from moodiness or literally everything going wrong. But it wasn't that soul-crushing black cloud. I knew it would better tomorrow. I still think about the future a lot. But I don't get much farther than next month. Still a struggle sometimes, but great overall. My number one secret to staying happy is to just not care or get upset about what I can't control. The only people in my life that can make me upset are my wife and kids. That might sound backwards, but it's because they're the only people whose opinions, thoughts, behavior, etc. I really care about. Everyone else has no affect on me, except they can make me happy. I just don't focus on the negative. Makes me scared of actually dying. I used to have depression and I wished death upon myself. Now I don't. For people who have depression now, just know that a lot of the annoyingly happy people you see now you think don't understand you may have had severe depression and that you can be happy too one day. So I had an accident that developed into PTSD, so I feel like I can give a different perspective as someone who has experienced both. With anxiety it feels as though the world could turn at any moment. Constantly being on edge, etc. Now without it, imagine a nice trip to the beach without a panic attack. Imagine you're calm for once and have been talking with a friend, so your anxiety has left you momentarily. Your mind's focused on something else. Now that point, replicate that feeling, but all of the time. The only thing changing from that calmness is the weather. Even in bad situations, being able to not freeze up and have an uncontrollable force take over you. You can be sad, you can be scared, but it's not debilitating. It keeps you aware of your surroundings but doesn't overpower you. A tiresome drive is just a tiresome drive. No different than time out was as a kid. But to someone like me, driving 30 minutes honestly seems like the end of the world now. Traveling is a whole ordeal. A lot of the times I'll have to stop multiple times to compose myself for fear of hurting someone else. It's interesting how bodies react to things. In my case it is still bad. I keep wondering how I failed life, how I almost have no friends, and that my only company is alcohol, but at least I don't need meds. But you don't need to be mentally ill to hate your own life. Needing meds isn't the benchmark by which you can call yourself depressed or reach out for support. Depression isn't always feeling sad. Anger is very common, as feeling numb or disconnected. I hope you feel better soon, dude, but don't wait for it to happen and reach out to someone if you need to. Alcohol causes depression, bro. I wake up in the morning singing, making voices and jokes up for my own amusement. I greet the sun for the miracle of each new day. Work is doing great. Family and love is doing fantastic. I'm lucky AF and I can feel it in my veins. Being in remission from bipolar is weird. I feel resilient. I love that I can take criticism and learn from it and grow without falling into a pit of despair. I have so much more energy without feeling wired and out of control. It's refreshing how much easier it is to follow through on my commitments and make progress at work and in my hobbies and relationships. The contrast between how I feel now and how I feel in an episode is so stark. It's like if you woke up one morning and realized you'd been carrying around 20 pounds weights everywhere you went for years and now they're gone and you feel so light, and it suddenly makes sense why everything was so hard before. I know based on past experience that this patch of sunlight probably won't last forever and it sucks, but I can stay in the moment enough to appreciate what I have. People who have never been depressed really have no idea what a privilege it is to be able to hope. Every morning when I wake up, I experience an exquisite joy, the joy of being Salvador Dali. I still feel sad and nervous or anxious, I just always make sure to tell myself the outcome is worth it. I'm not gonna say, it's just a mindset, because it's usually more than that. But it helps to tell yourself what you want rather than half lies you can't really prove.